Gamers believed that God of War Ragnarok was going to be the game of the year 2022, but the word worst was silent. While the most anticipated game did have some good parts, it was overall a disappointment, to say the least. It's one thing to make a masterpiece and then hype up its next installment, and another to just half-ass their way toward it, hoping that the hype would do all the work. We sound too angry, don't we? Well, don't blame us. We're just voicing the opinion of hundreds of thousands of fans. Why are they disappointed, you ask? We have many reasons, out of which the last one would definitely bring you on our side. Here's the rant. Well, the first and foremost argument is that there were just so many unnecessary characters in the game. The last one had only a few, but their roles and impact were so good that they became memorable. But in this one, apart from the older ones, all the characters were easily forgettable. Eivor Atreus Shot comes back as Hinsvinni. Why? Just so he could talk to the elves in Alfheim? And the parts where they try to show Thor's broken relationships by including his wife and daughter so much, and Atreus tries to advise them. Just why? And this isn't all. By the end of the game, the dwarves are replaced by Lunda, whose voice was so annoying we didn't even want to upgrade our gear anymore. Another disappointing area was one that every mediocre game falls prey to, as the story simply became kind of boring in the middle. The pacing of this game is so off, it's not even funny. It starts off with Fenrir dying, Freya's battle, Allfather paying a visit, and Thor's boss fight. And then, by the time you get to the middle, it's all about Atreus telling his father to trust him in their fights. We were bored out of my mind and annoyed by having to listen to Loki and Agraboda small talk about nothing and collect fruits on that slow-moving ox. And then you have to go over 3 realms with Thor or his daughter to find a missing mask piece while there's no major story development happening. And not to mention that the post-game grind for 100% completion is also worse than last time. For instance, to unlock the Muspelheim trials, you have to do the previous ones in different orders and combinations and rinse and repeat. And that too with the shitty combat assistance of Freya. Even if you make peace with the fact that you have to endure Freya's presence throughout your after-story grind, you have to realize that you have a good-for-nothing liability when you go into fights. She's as useful as our left hand in... never mind. We go through the game, gaining Atreus XP and buying combat skills for him, only for him to leave in the end. We do gain Freya XP as well, but there's no skill option for her. She's useless regarding to which sword you make her use, and she can only use 3 arrows at once, unlike Atreus, who can shoot 4. This also leads us to highlight how boring Freya was as a companion, especially compared to our boy Atreus. Every time Loki went off to Asgard during the game, and we had to play with Freya as the companion, we had to bear the worst parts of the game. The only motivation to play throughout these quests was to finish them and get Atreus back. And then, when you finish the game, you find out that your son chose to abandon you, and you're stuck with the worst companion ever. All she does is say, "Kratos, I see something," every time she sees the wind blow. She realized that she was better off as our enemy. Still not convinced? Well, let's talk about how nerfed Odin was. Yes, we all knew that the All-Father was going to go down, but so easily? No. The All-Father who gave up one of his eyes for wisdom should have seen all of it coming. Yes, he had cunning and evil personalities, but his prowess and skills were heavily nerfed. In fact, the Valkyrie Queen fight and the Berserkers were more challenging than Odin. Does this mean that they were stronger than him? I think not. In the final battle, all he does is use his staff and a little bit of magic. He should have opened up 2 separate realm tears and thrown the father and son into different realms. That would have been God of War-like, but sadly, we were walking down the path of disappointment. We haven't even mentioned the last one, which is an outrageous choice made by the studios, but we'll come to that at the end of the video. Now, Santa Monica didn't just piss off the gamers, but also mythology fans, as they didn't show a proper battle between Jormungandr and Thor. The origins of the world serpent we hear about from Ymir was one of the most interesting plots of the game. In this one, we realized that Loki is actually the reason Jormungandr comes to be, and the battle that we actually witness is the battle we thought had already happened, in a way. The game was focused on Kratos and Atreus fighting their way through Asgard during Ragnarök, while we could see the fight happening far away. They should have added a separate cutscene where we could have seen them go toe-to-toe until Thor throws his Mjolnir with so much force that Jormungandr vanishes. But they only show it on the side for a few seconds at max. Total injustice to such a crazy plot. Were they short of budget or what? Oh yeah, budget reminds us of another point, how Santa Monica simply adopted an abrupt ending. And that too, just for milking DLC money. Seriously, let's face it, the ending was one of the worst ones of any game. The concluding battle was underwhelming, the prophecy and fate of Kratos changes, and Loki decides to leave his father to chase a girl and solve giant mysteries. Such a bad cash grab attempt on Santa Monica's side. If the rumors about an Atreus spin-off game are true, if not, why would they end the game so abruptly and ruin it altogether? There was no hint about the next game like the last one, so we can't even say for sure if there even is a next one. We sure hope there is, because we can't see such a godly series being ended in such a bad manner. Now, Santa Monica also did us dirty in their fake promises, as the 9 realms were just there for namesake, as there was not a single side quest in Helheim and Jotunheim. Here's our theory to why this was the case. What Santa Monica basically did is they started building the game from Vanaheim, which is the biggest and most worked on realm. Then they came to Svartalheim, which is again vast, and then Midgard. And then they rushed their way through the rest, decreasing their efforts after every realm, and they completed. And it's not hard to tell that Helheim and Jotunheim were the second last and last realms they worked on. Well, even worked on is the wrong notion because there isn't any work put on them. Helheim has newer regions, but they basically look like the ones from the old game. There isn't even any side quest on any of these realms, only a flower that you can go and pick from the ground for 100% completion. So boring, just like Thor's storyline. You agree, right? Poor Thor was always portrayed as the evil, merciless god who killed giants for fun. Even in the first sight of him, he tells Kratos that he can't just come onto his land, kill his sons, and get away, all while beating the crap out of him. He literally kills him and brings him back just 'cause he wants a real fight with him. And when it actually happened in the end, he lost so easily. A Draugr fight was harder than this, and during the end, he is suddenly shown as a good-hearted man who loves his family, but does bad things 'cause his father tells him. What? Now, if you still aren't convinced that God of War Ragnarok was disappointing, here's the final and most convincing reason. They did not answer who blew the horn. God damn, now we have to wait 5 more years? Seriously? Milking money of a simple plot is so evil, and stretching something, that too for potentially 10 long years, is Had they answered this question, this game was sure to win Game of the Year 2022. But no, money matters more than some event recognition, doesn't it? What do you think? Were you disappointed as well? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll complete those drag Muspelheim trials till then. Goodbye.